a draw would have suited City at that point, because I thought up until the whole situations and the incidents that happened, Arsenal were formidable and didn't look like City were going to encroach on them and get any shots on target in general. So for me, I think they would have walked away from that game and been happy with a point. But
they got all three because of this goal, and they just keep going, relentless manner.
Yeah, that's what, when you have people, this is the first run Rodri makes forward, to be honest with you, into the box that I remember, which was so free, and the ball from Kevin was just a little bit under hit. He gets the flick on, but he just stays in there and prods it in the back of the net. And when you're on those winning streaks, it just seems hard to stop the winning streak, and that's what seems to be happening for City at the minute. They're just picking up 3 points, even sometimes when they may not deserve it too much. They're still coming away with the result that they actually wanted.
How difficult for an Arsenal player is that to take when you've given so much and played so well?
Yeah, it is, but it's part of their development, part as a team, going through adversity and feeling how you feel right now. They'll be really disappointed in the dressing room, but you've got to have those feelings in order to then progress and make sure that you don't lose games like that. And their performance for the whole of the game really was pretty exceptional, I thought, against a brilliant team. And on the flip side of that, City, as you said, just know how to win games, and that's what champions do. And I think overall, from an entertainment point of view, we had everything. And
indeed,
we've got Dermot.
And indeed, talking points. Before we speak to Dermot Gallagher, very quickly, did you think that was a penalty for Manchester City?
When I first saw it, I thought it possibly was, but then not. And so I was unsure, and I've come down on the belief that it wasn't a penalty. There wasn't enough contact for him to go down. He stayed up. There's a little bit of a shirt pull, and then he goes down. So if that's outside the box, I think he's simulating. There, he's done Xhaka. He's squared him up. There is some contact on his leg, but that's not enough to send him down. He doesn't go down. He takes another step. Then he decides to go down. So no, I don't think it is a penalty.
Sean?
This is not biased, but I actually do think it is a penalty from an attacking point of view for me. I think after he does go past him the first time, even like you said, the first part was a little contact, but then to have another tug, I think that's like one step too far for me. So for me, penalty.
Okay, so Dermot, Happy New Year, by the way. Nice quiet start. So Sean thinks it was a penalty, Lee doesn't, but that's irrelevant. So then it goes to VAR. Is that a clear and obvious error in your mind to overturn?
I thought it was a penalty when I saw it, Steve.
That wasn't what I asked, Dan.
I thought it was a penalty because I think Xhaka takes him with his thigh, otherwise he'd have been past him, and I think then he grabs his shirt. Stuart, obviously, I don't think sees this, but once you look at the VAR, I think Jared Gillett was really, really good. He recommended Stuart go, and he talked him through it. He talked him through there. There's the contact. There's a grab of the shirt. I think once he talked him through it like that, Stuart agreed with him and gave a penalty. I think they've come to the right conclusion.
Dermot, it's Lee, obviously. See, I've got to be careful where I go here, because you're looking at that from a referee's point of view. I as a player, if that's Silva, if I'm Silva and I bang into Xhaka like that, he's going down. You can see the bang. I get that. But that's not enough. He takes another step there, and then he decides to go down, and the shirt pull is after that. I think the referee's got that on-field decision as not a penalty, which is he doesn't think it is, but to overturn that as clear and obvious, I don't think is at all. You see him; he takes 2 steps and then he dives. So it's not a clear and obvious. We had one in the first half, which was exactly the same. I think that was contact on Odegaard's boot by the goalkeeper, so it's a foul, but it's not clear and obvious, so you stick to the on-field decision, and I think that should have been the same, and it wasn't. So that's the inconsistency. VAR's not there to decide whether it's a penalty or not. It's there to decide whether there's been a clear and obvious error, and I don't think you can say that. My opinion is you don't say that on that occasion.
You're certainly right, Lee. The VAR's not there to referee the game. It's not there to judge the referee's decision. It is to say, has he made a clear and obvious mistake? Again, you're right. You know, I look at it as a referee because that's what I was trained to do. Jared Gillett would look at it as a referee as a VAR because that's what he's trained to do. And I felt that once, if you look here, this is why I think it's a penalty.
But is it a clear and obvious error, Dermot?
I think it is, because I think that's a foul. And I think
No,
If he doesn't foul him, he's past him and he's got a clear run.
But Dermot, sorry to interrupt you, but the whole point of VAR, we've got 3 people in the studio and we've got a different opinion of whether that's a foul or not. So that, to me, says it's not a clear and obvious error because one person thinks it is, one person thinks it isn't. The fact that you're looking at it now going, well, it is a penalty. I don't care what you think, with all due respect. I don't care what the guy in VAR thinks about penalty or not. Is it a clear and obvious mistake? And I don't think you can say that because I'm sure there's a couple of camera guys that have got different opinion than me and Sean. So that's where VAR has to be. My job is to decide whether it's a clear and obvious, not whether it's a penalty or not.
Yeah, the difficulty is, Lee, that every foul is a subjective decision.
Correct.
You know, if it's inside the area or outside the area, that's a fact. But in subjective decisions, it's down to the person looking at it. And Jarred Gillett, when he looks at this, he thinks the referee's made a clear error because he feels that's a penalty. He feels that if he'd have seen that on the field, he would have given a penalty. And what he does, he refers that to Stewart. Bear in mind, Lee, that there's no obligation for Stewart to give a penalty. It's only a recommendation to go across.
Yeah, but we know how that works,
Well,
Dermot.
yeah, but he can go across. He retains all options. He could have went across, and you said about simulation.
Well, so give me some percentages on how many times that happens where a referee goes over and sticks with his own line.
I would think minimally, for the simple reason is the VAR is saying to the referee, I think you made a clear and obvious error. And that alone would say he's only stepped in when he thinks it's wrong.
Okay, sorry to interrupt your personal conversation. But, one question now, which an awful lot of people are asking, so I'm asking it on their behalf, Dermot. Why then in the first half, in the incident that Lee's talking about, was the referee not asked to go and look at this in terms of consistency, if the second half was and the first half wasn't?
Because I think there's still a reasonable element of doubt here. You know, you look at different angles. You look there, it looks as though Ederson clears the ball first. You look here, it looks as though Odegaard gets the ball and he gets the boot.
But that angle there, Dermot, that particular one, watch his boot in between. Yeah. It's obvious he does not get the ball on that angle. The other angles, it doesn't matter. The one that shows you him kicking Odegaard's foot onto the ball is the one that the ref goes, he's made a foul. But is that clear and obvious? No. So you stick with the online decision, on-field decision, surely, which he did.
Which the referee on the VAR
But then he
did.
didn't in the second half.
No, I think they're different incidents, Lee, and that's my point. Is that Jarred Gillett wasn't there to be judge and jury on Stewart's decisions. He's not there to re-referee the football match. He's there, I think, on the first one, he felt there was enough doubt. On the second one, he felt that it was a clear and obvious error because he felt it was a foul.
Sean, were you a little
that.
concerned in the first half that was going to get looked at from the first monitor?
Yeah, for me, I think, and even I said to Lee after, the more and more I've seen that replay, the more and more I feel like all City just got away with one there that could have possibly been given as a penalty. For me, like, I can't really see how much of the ball Ederson gets. For me, it looks like he doesn't get any of the ball, and it looks like he gets a bit of foot.
This is the one.
He gets a bit of foot there, which kicks the ball the other direction. But so, like I said, the more I'm seeing that, like, that would have been a penalty for me as well, I think, as well.
Okay, so Bernardo Silva's was awarded, as we know. Riyad Mahrez had a long time to wait, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. There's a few little tricks going on from the Arsenal lads scratching the penalty, but it's part and parcel of the game for me. I wouldn't necessarily say I agree with it, but it is what. But he steps up and dispatches it beautifully, and it's 1-1 at that time.
And that's a big moment in the game.
It was, because he got City back in it, and then we're in a position where, you know, what happened next over the next 2 or 3 minutes.
2 minutes, 2 seconds, to be precise, as we entered into 2022. 2 yellow cards in 78 seconds.
Yeah, we
That's
see.
some going, that.
Yeah, and that apparently it's for dissent,
Yeah.
for arguing about the penalty, not the scratching of the thing. Then he does this, and when you're on a yellow, you can't do that. He's on the halfway line. His men behind him. Jesus does a little bit of a trick on him, but he can let him have the ball on his chest. He's not going anywhere. But that's rash, and it's the second yellow card. There's no doubt about that. The first one was silly, and that one was a little bit stupid as well. And that, now you've gone down to 10 against a brilliant City side. Even though they're not playing well, you're going to be under it.
And Dermot, just as Lee was alluding to there, confirmed the first yellow was dissent for Gabriel.
Yeah, dissent after the penalty was scored, Steve, which he's paid a heavy price for, hasn't he, with a foul afterwards.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed for now, Dermot. You and Lee can continue off there.